Let's go. You don't have to go here. You can go here. Good to go here. We're going to start here. That's kind of where we were last time a little bit. We're going to go to Revelation 4:1, Revelation 11:12, I think it is, or we're going to go to Proverbs and end up in Matthew. I was taking some notes when Brother Joshua was teaching on Sunday. And I was just quickened to write down these things and some of the things that he taught on. Other things the Lord was just piecing together to me, and he hit on the word soul. And the word soul is in the Bible, I don't know how many times, I haven't looked it up. A lot of people talk about your soul. A lot of people talk about soul food. I'm kind of hungry right now, and soul music, soul brother, soul sister, and all this, that word soul is thrown around. So I looked it up on dictionary.com, and I kind of combined a lot of, several descriptions of what the word soul means. And I think it's important that we understand, if we're going to use this word and read about this word and hear this word, that we have some understanding of what the word soul means. Now, you got to understand, when you go look up something online or in a book, that can be the Word of God, or it can be man's opinion. One description of soul basically said that the soul is basically the spirit and it's separable from the man, which is kind of cool that they would even think that, because actually Paul said that's what happened to me. It was above 14 years out of my body. In my body, I don't know. Paul had an out-of-body experience. But the soul and the spirit are separate. What they leave out in those descriptions is one thing: the Spirit of God. So we are soul, body, and spirit, because there's a spirit inside of us that dwells inside of us. And we can get refueled. It's like that in-flight refueling, Brother Stephen, which I think is so cool. How did they come up with that? I mean, some engineer designed that. You're flying along and another plane comes along and you send out this hose and you hook up to that plane and then you put fuel in that plane. That's just really cool.
There's a lot involved.
It's not good if it goes wrong, by the way. That's a bad day. But when it works, and it works most of the time, it's a very cool thing. So I looked up the word soul, and this is just kind of a side note, just a little teaching thing, just something I've been pondering. But it had several things here: feelings, thought, actions, morals, emotions, sentiments. And then I wrote down here mind, will, and emotion, because that's what Brother Joshua was talking about. So all of these things, and I won't preach his message, he did a great job on Sunday. All of these things come into play and help form the character of a person, help form who we are. So you look at what I just read. Our feelings, which are really emotions. Our morals, which are our convictions. What is our belief system? You know, really a person either has integrity or they don't. What are our emotions, our feelings, our sentiments? Our sentiments and emotions really are made up of, for the most part, our past experiences that he talked about. Right? And that helps pave the way and helps to build us either in a positive manner or a negative manner. Another thing that he said the other day, let me see if I can find it. We're either growing or decaying, and you actually go into your future and change the past. I can tell you, when he said that, I was quickened. How do you go into your future and change your past? Well, first of all, on one level, that's healing. That as you move forward in your future, you leave that behind you. But also, one thing that I have prayed and asked the Lord about in multiple areas in my life is give me perspective. You know, we've experienced things as a group. We've experienced things as a family. We experience things as individuals. Well, at the moment that you're dealing with the situation, you very likely don't have a clear perspective as to what that means to your overall life. Sometimes you do, Brother Tommy, but I think most of the time it takes time to gain perspective on that situation of life. And usually we do gain perspective. When we're sincere and when we're seeking out truth, when we're searching out truth, we'll gain perspective. I was sitting back there tonight. I came in here, I was tired, but I was listening to the music, And as I was listening to it, I was very calm, very much at peace. And we've sang that song before, the second song that we sang. But tonight I saw so much more in that song. And really, we could take that song and teach the book of Revelation from that song about an island and the ship being rebuilt by the tree of life. What a powerful metaphor. Now, if someone has a mindset that the tree of life in the book of Revelation and the redemption of Jesus Christ is found in heaven when they die, and they will get all that when they get to heaven, they're not going to get that song. They're not going to get the fullness and the depth of that song, because that rebuilding of the ship is this. We're the vessel, right? And what a great thing for the ship to be made out of the tree of life. So think about it. What if a ship is made out of the tree of life? Fully 100%, everything embodied within that carcass, so to speak, is life. It is surrounded by life, and it encases and protects life. What a beautiful song, man. It's equipped. So not only the outer shell is life, but you got to think what it's protecting inside is life. What did God tell Noah? At the end of Genesis 6, I've got it underlined twice. He said, I'm sending these people, so 7 people. I'm sending 7 people, and also all of these animals to you for you to keep alive. For you to keep alive, Noah. So you have built your ark, Noah, your worship, your praise, your relationship, your intimacy with God builds an ark, the tree of life. Haley, thank you for that song, Holy Ghost. The tree of life, and we steward that. We keep it. We have authority and dominion over that life, so that we can take people in, Brother David, and protect them and love them, and just give them life. I finished studying back there a little bit, and a little bit earlier, and kept hearing that old song, Every Kind of People. And I finally looked it up and I listened to it, and it was good. It was, I think, made back in the 80s probably. If it was a video, if you look at the hairdos, I'm thinking it was in the 80s, late 80s maybe. But it just showed in the video, obviously, and it was Robert Palmer that sang that, he just showed different faces and couples and individuals, and embracing and loving, and some individuals, some couples in different colors, and obviously both male and female in different nationalities. There's such a big, beautiful world out there. You know, what is our perspective in life? When we face a situation, when we face people, what do we expect in life? Do we expect to be successful? Or do we expect, let me, that can be too pie in the sky for all of us, but what do we expect when we get up every day? Do we expect to have a great day? Do we expect to have a beautiful day? Do we expect to encounter people that are going to be rude to us? Or do we just expect to enjoy life? See, I really don't care anymore how other people drive. As long as they don't hurt themselves, somebody else, or wreck or mess me or my family up, I don't care how they drive. I don't care if they cut me off. Now, this is a big problem with me for years, so this is why I keep talking about this, because I had to really get over this. I don't care. I don't even notice when people are rude to me if they check me out at wherever, Food Line or the restaurant. I don't notice like I used to whether the food is just right or not. I simply don't care, because the only thing I care about now is life. Now, Brother Greg, I'm not going to let somebody just walk up and slap me and be rude. And you know what I'm saying? There's a balance in this. But a lot of those things that used to be the cares of the world and the concerns, I just simply don't care about anymore. They're insignificant, not important. So what do we, when we get up in the morning, what do we expect? Do we expect success? Do we expect to enjoy our day? Yes. Or do we expect strife? Because there's some, you said yes, and I believe that about you. By the way, 100%. But I know some folks that wake up in the morning, they got negative thoughts. And they actually expect that there's going to be strife in their life. Now, I can tell you this. Every day that I get up, when I encounter people, and we all encounter and deal with people, there's the potential. There could be strife if I chose to. In the last week, two different situations, I had people pull me aside and try to tell me about this person or that person, that they're not into the veteran thing, they're not into this, they're not into that. And I had to be really still and let them finish talking and wait for that wisdom from above to see how am I going to deal with this, because I don't care. I really don't. So with one sister, I said, the Lord did give me the wisdom from above. I looked at her. She was talking about a guy sitting 5 feet away, by the way. So I said, you know what, sister? I said, the light always exposes darkness. I said, so over time, this thing that we're doing, over time, we'll see who wants to help and who cares and who doesn't. It's all good. See, now years ago, I wouldn't have done that, Brother Dave. So I just, look back and thank God for the growth, because years ago I wouldn't have done that. I might have fallen in talking with her, I might have gotten mad, I might have gotten frustrated with her, who knows. But we'll go to Revelation 4:1, he is continuously doing what he did in the book of Revelation. Continuously in our life. After this, I looked, and behold, a door was opened in heaven, and the first voice which I heard was as it were a trumpet talking with me. This voice said what? Come up hither. Keep coming up higher. Keep coming, Sister Kelly. Keep coming. Keep coming higher. And I will show you things which must be hereafter. Revelation 11:12. And they heard a great voice from heaven saying unto them, come up hither, come up higher. And they ascended up to heaven in a cloud. Now I'm going to stop right there. Come up higher. What happens when you come up higher? Come up hither, where God is, Brother Tommy. It just told us. You come up where He is. You come up higher and you ascend in life into heaven. Paul talked about more than once about our conversations being in heaven. Not talking about heaven, but that our conversations, what comes out of our mouth, is heavenly. So in order to speak heavenly, we have to grow and we have to keep coming up higher, because what happens is the things that we talk about changes or change. So as we come up higher, we're no longer concerned with the same earthly concerns that we had. Now we are talking about things that are higher, that are heavenly. So what does it say? Come up higher, and they ascended up to heaven in a cloud. What does the cloud represent? Presence. What did you say, Mr. John? The glory, presence, same thing. Yeah. So as we come up higher into heaven, we're in the presence. And what comes out of our mouth? The words that I speak are spirit, and they are life or truth. You can throw truth in there. So as we ascend higher into Him, our conversations change, because now we're speaking life. We're speaking truth. And what happens when we speak truth? People are freed. We are freed. So that's why I am so bent on these scriptures about come up higher. Come up higher. I heard somebody say years ago that small-minded people talk about other people. Now this is a long time ago. Small-minded people talk about other people. And I got offended. I'm thinking, well, who does he think he is? Because what do you think I spent a lot of my time doing? And who was I around? I was around people talking about people all the time. I mean, maybe God had me work from home for 9 years so he could prune me. Maybe it took that long. But now I don't want to be around it. The pruning, by the way, is a somewhat uncomfortable and potentially painful process. Come up higher into the cloud, and their enemies beheld them. So I actually forgot this, so I'll share this with y'all. Did the Dunn paper come out today in hard copy?
I got a copy.
Hard print? So this is, God just opened up this door that I sat down with a reporter from the Dunn newspaper last week and had lunch. You know, when you know he's a veteran. And so we sat down and had lunch, and he wrote an article about Holbet. So it's in the Dunn Daily Record. I had completely forgotten about it until yesterday morning. Somebody texted my family and said, "Hey, that's a great story, blah, 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 blah." And I'm just head down and working, and I'm like, what did they, oh, I forgot that. So yeah, we're in the paper. And he did a good job. I need to call him. I was absolutely slammed today. But I thought about that, and I did read. Actually, I did want to read it, to be honest with you. I don't like hearing myself speak. I did want to read about that. And but I did think about it last night because of some things that pastors said over the years to all of us. And I have underlined in my Bible in Joshua 3, God told Joshua, he said, if you'll just listen to me, do what I tell you to do, I'll magnify you before the people. And I underlined that because if you focus on that, it will remind you to be focused on humility. Because we can't do anything great in and of ourselves and it be long lasting and really be truth and free people. But when he does it through us, then it can be in humility, it can be long lasting, and it can free people. And that's what we're about. We are all about seeing people freed from the bondage of life. So let's go to Proverbs. As y'all go to Proverbs, I'm going to skip through Colossians. Excuse me. But you can go on to Proverbs. Colossians 1:25 says, whereof I am made a minister according to the dispensation of God, which is given to me for you. God gave to Paul the dispensation of himself for Paul to give to the church at Colossae and to all the others that he could minister to. All the others that God put in his path for him to minister to. He says, to the dispensation of God, which is given to me for you, to fulfill the word of God, even the mystery which hath been hid from ages and from generations, but now is made manifest or known to the saints. To whom God would make known what is the riches of the glory of this ministry among the Gentiles, which is Christ in you, the hope of glory. So he gave that mystery, that ability to unlock the mystery of the Christ was given on that cross. But that wasn't a one-time event in their lives or in our lives. Because remember, his voice is always saying, come up higher. So that unlocking of the mystery, one thing I prayed earlier is, and we're going to get there, I said, Lord, give me ears to hear. Give me eyes to see. Give me a heart to understand. And open up the depth of the mysteries of this life. Because he has opened up a depth. But there's a greater depth that we have not experienced yet. Let's go to Proverbs 25. 25:1. These are also Proverbs of Solomon, which the men of Hezekiah, king of Judah, copied out. It is the glory of God to conceal a thing, but the honor of kings is to search out a matter. Now think about that in relation to what we just read. In the book of Revelation, come up higher, and also in the book of Colossians, where he says, I have opened up a mystery that inside of you is a Christ. Inside of you are precious jewels. And he says here, he said, it is the glory of God to conceal a thing. But the honor of kings is to search out or hunger a matter. To search out what? The glory of God, the Christ. So it is what? The honor of kings to search out a matter. And who are the kings? We are the kings. Well, that's good. I got 3 people awake. Praise the Lord. And 2 more that maybe be awake. More? But what do we hunger after? Every day when we get up, what do we hunger after? Right. That's a rhetorical question. You can only answer that. I can only answer that myself. When I get up tomorrow, what am I going to allow my focus to be in life? See, anything and anyone on the face of this earth can be a distraction to us. Anything. No matter how much you two love each other, or Ginger and I love each other, even we can be a distraction in life. So I'm going extreme with this, because what is it right here? What do we hunger after in this life? You know, I was talking about, and I've gotten off the Everest kick for the most part. We'll see if it rekindles. But the slightest little mistake in planning and in execution costs people their lives out there. See, straight is the gate into life. There is so much apart from that gate that is a distraction. You know, through the years here and in other places, but you can stand up here and speak and you can see people's minds just going. Like that person didn't hear a word I said. They're going. They're out there somewhere. They're thinking about other stuff. And it's like, okay, maybe what I just said was good. I don't know. Or maybe I'm putting salt asleep. But what do we focus on? What do we hunger after? Because see, when we get up tomorrow, we're going to have life to live. We're going to encounter people. We're going to encounter situations. We're going to encounter thoughts. We're going to encounter memories. So we can go into our future and change the past, because we can get rid of the past. Past habits, past patterns. That we get up tomorrow and we live a different life. The other day I got tired of one habit in my life. One thing I live with every day. I'm like, you know what? And it's going to take me time to correct this. So it's not as much as I'm going to change my mind and I'm going to, I need to reorganize, I need to better organize my office is what it is. Well, I can't, and this has been a step-by-step process for a year, but it's gotten as good as it is. But I'm going to have to stop and reorganize how I do things. So it's not as simple as it rises up in my spirit and it's done. I'm going to have to put action behind it. I'm going to have to set aside time, and I'm going to have to develop new patterns and new processes so that I'm better organized. Now see, when I'm better organized, then I'm going to be more efficient. And when I'm more efficient, 2 things will happen. I'll be more at rest, and I will get more done. I'll be more efficient so I can get more things done. I told Mr. John last night, I said, last 2 times I cut the grass, I really thought about it might be time to downsize, Brother David. Because I just don't have the time. So it might be time to downsize. Because there's so much to be done. There's so much life to live. There's so much to do to fulfill a vision to save people's lives. To bring a message of life to people. To bring a message of encouragement and inspiration to people. That's what's inside of us. We have the ability. We not only have the access, we have the ability. It is the glory of God to conceal a thing, but the honor of kings is to search out a matter. The heaven for height. Search out what? Search out heaven for height. How high is heaven? How high and the depth of the earth? How expansive is this life that we're talking about? How big is this life that we're talking about? And the heart of kings is unsearchable. Take away the dross from the silver, or the waste, and there shall come forth a vessel for the finer. Take away the wicked from before the king, and his throne shall be established in righteousness. Put not forth thyself in the presence of the king, and stand not in the place of great men. For better it is that it be said unto thee, Come up hither, than that thou shouldest be put lower in the presence of the prince, whom thine eyes have seen. Better for you is it to hear and to come up higher than anything else. Look beyond the horizon that you see now, and live beyond the horizon that you see now. That again might sound too big or too pie in the sky, but think about it like this. Those subtle little incremental changes that we make in life will lead up and will grow, just like an avalanche coming down that mountain. Will grow and pick up steam and will lead to a changed life, a better life, a more fruitful life, a more prosperous life, a life of peace, joy, and righteousness, a life of rest. Those subtle and small changes. Pastor used to talk about capturing the thought, and I thought, you know what, it's not the first thought that does this damage, it's the second thought, because if the first ridiculous thought comes, if we can push that aside and we don't go to the second thought, well, then the second one might not turn to the third and fourth, and then it might not become a thought process. And then if it doesn't become a thought process, it won't become a mindset. See, I know people that are so negative, and it's such a lifestyle, they don't even know they're negative, because it is how they live. They don't even know. And they can quote scripture all day long. The words that I speak are what? Death or life. The words that I speak are spirit and life. And it becomes such a mindset, because a thought process led to that mindset. And then it becomes a way of life. But when truth comes, real truth, and when it goes deep, and we're freed from that, then we can live a different life. And when we have a different life to live, we have a different life to give. When we have a different life to live, we have a different life to give. There was a gentleman that we encountered recently, and he's a leader. And I told Joshua later, he said he wasn't into what you had to say about veterans at all. I said, oh, I know. And I said, we were in a room. I said, I was sitting there and thinking about half these people don't like the other half. And I was kind of laughing inside, because you know what? The light will expose things. And I said about this gentleman that wasn't interested in what we were talking about at all, I said, the individual is miserable. Just a miserable existence on this earth. And what a shame. I mean, really, what a shame to go through life and not be able to enjoy it. Sister Mary Beth. Not to be able to have peace. Not to be able to enjoy life and enjoy people. Years ago, Sister Crystal and Brother Anselmo got married, and Pastor Jaime, Sister Bella, and the translator that went to Texas. Can't remember his name. But I was sitting on about the third row. They stood up, and Pastor Joseph was in here. And this is 2 minutes before the wedding processional and all that, maybe 5. And so it was a beautiful scene in here today. How many people were here when they got married? It was a beautiful wedding. I mean, a beautiful wedding. And we were sitting about the second or third, probably third row back. And all of a sudden the Lord moved on me, hit me like a tidal wave. Just bam! And I immediately started weeping. Immediately. Just floodgates weeping. And all I could think of was I had thanksgiving that I did not have a spirit of racism. Because if I had had a spirit of racism and didn't know these people and hadn't been here that day, I would have missed out on the love that those individuals showed to me. And I told Ginger later, I said, I'm sure that others that were here that didn't know me thought, man, that guy really gets emotional at weddings. No, it actually had nothing to do with that wedding, but it had everything to do with that wedding. No, it was God showing me, look at what you would have missed out on. If you had a certain attitude or mindset, you would have missed out on the love of these beautiful people. You know why I keep praying for God to open the eyes and ears? Because I didn't see that before. I didn't know that before. I was just going through life. There are many experiences that if He bring them back to my remembrance, I can share with you. Many of them we have encountered here together, but outside of these walls, where God was changing inside to lead to a better life of love. And if it hadn't been for all of those occurrences, would not have been able to share love with people on this earth like we can today. Because of Him and the changes that He's done inside to change the thought process, the mindset, the expectations. See, we can't take steps backwards. We have to move forward. It's been, I don't know, I'll speak for me, for my family. It's been quite a quest. Quite a quest. I did say that right. To summit Mount Everest. Dr. King said what? He said, I've been to the top, I've looked over and seen the promised land. It's been quite a journey, Brother Kevin, to climb that mountain. At times to scratch and claw. Hang on to that tree root. Dig yourself up, pull yourself up while you're pulling your family up. Pulling each other up. To take your hand off the plow. To look back. To take a step back. No, we can't do that. It's come at too great of a cost. It is too valuable. It's too precious. Go to verse 19. Then we're going to jump over to Matthew. Confidence in an unfaithful man in time of trouble is like a broken tooth and a foot out of joint. When I read that, I was quickened. Confidence in an unfaithful man in time of trouble is like a broken tooth. That's got to be painful, by the way, and a little bit irritating. Yes. And a foot out of joint. That is painful and a little bit of irritating. Now, we can go deeper with a broken tooth. You can't eat the meat and you can't grow in the Lord. With a foot out of joint, beautiful are the people. Y'all are not novices, y'all know Scripture. But what does the beginning of that say? Confidence in an unfaithful man in a time of trouble. But the flip side of that is what? Confidence in a faithful man. Trust. You hit the word. Because when you have confidence in a faithful man or woman, how do you know they're faithful? Huh? The fruit. You know the person. You know who you're walking with. You got to know who you're walking with. You will know them by what? By their fruit. Look at those little fruit trees back there. See, I'm up here trying to teach, and now the shiny balloons are out, so I'm seeing the shiny balloons back there. Let's go to Matthew 13. Let's go to Matthew 13:10. We're going to bring this thing along. So Jesus is given the parable of the seed and the sower. We all know the parable, but I'm going to pick it up at 10. And the disciples came and said unto him, why do you speak in parables? Why are you speaking to them in parables, Master? So they're coming to who? They're coming to God himself incarnate on the earth. They're coming to the Christ, and they're asking him because they don't have understanding of why he's doing what he's doing. So they're coming to him and they're saying, why are you speaking to these people in parables? And he says what? He answered and said unto them, because it is given to you to know the what? Mysteries of the kingdom of heaven. But to them it is not given. Many are called, but few are chosen. In a week and a half, 2 weeks from tonight, Ginger and I will celebrate our 25th wedding anniversary. Okay? Yeah, actually, now that I think about it, when I asked her to marry me, the plan was we had gone up to the Blue Ridge Parkway. And this is a Hallmark or Lifetime movie. It's just waiting to make us millions of dollars. I've got to write the script. But we were going to go hiking and get on top of a hill, mountain, whatever, and I was going to propose to her. Until we wound up in the ditch and got stuck and all these other things that got in the way. But many are called, but few are chosen. I didn't ask every girl that was around, will you be my wife? I asked one. And you guys know when you put that out there, man, it's either yes or no. It's go, no go time. And she said yes, obviously, and here we are. But I didn't ask multiple people. Right? And let me be straight. No, I had never asked anyone before, so, but I asked one. She was the one that I chose to ask to marry me. We have been given a depth of life that I never experienced before, because he chose us to open us up and give us a realization and understanding and a hunger for a depth of life. We're not the only ones. I believe there are many people across the globe that have a hunger and thirst for life. They're not likely sitting in the churches. There's a minority in every church. I firmly believe this. Every church building, there's a minority of people that have a hunger and a thirst for God. And they want more. I firmly believe that. I have no data to back it up. There's not been any study done that I'm aware of, but I firmly believe that. And they're the only place, they're at the only place they know to go. But it stirs inside of them to know more. Because it is given to you to know the mysteries. My Bible has a note here, the hidden truths of the kingdom of heaven, but to them it is not given. For whosoever hath, to him shall be given, and he shall have more in abundance. But whosoever hath not, from him shall be taken away, even that he hath. Therefore speak I to them in parables, because they seeing not, And hearing they hear not, neither do they understand. Their eyes are closed, their ears are closed, and they do not understand. If he were to speak plainly, they still would not understand. But even speaking in parables, of course, they do not understand. That is what he is saying. And in them is fulfilled the prophecy of Isaiah, which said, by hearing he shall hear, and shall not understand. In seeing ye shall see, and shall not perceive. For this people's heart is waxed gross, or hard, or callous. That's what gross means. Their ears are dull of hearing. Their eyes they have closed, lest at any time they should see with their eyes, hear with their ears, and should understand with their heart, and should be converted, and I heal them. So when you see, you hear, and you understand, you are converted. There's a conversion that takes place. And the conversion goes from hurt to healed, pain to rest, dark to light, death to life. But first, there has to be ears, eyes, and hearts that see, hear, and understand in order for there to be a conversion to take place. Haley, would you go bring that whiteboard real quick, and we're going to wrap this up. That's why, this is why you guys ask, what do we pray? I tell you the same thing earlier. All right. You're right. Right into your hearts. Over their minds. Okay? Now, right here, right, understand. Okay? Right here, like, hear and see. Okay, now write this. 2 lines will proceed. Maybe that's an equal sign. Okay, now write down here. Seeing plus hearing equals understanding. I pondered this passage of Scripture, and I've spoke with it a couple of times. But there's more to this, and I want to know the depth of life. So I keep going back to this because I had never seen this till a month ago. But now there's more to this. So I want to know, what is the mystery in the spoken word? Why is he stirring me up to know this? Our hearts and minds together are what? Spiritually. The garden. Okay? Our heart and our mind is the garden. So if we have a hard heart, if we have the mind of Adam, I'll keep this part real simple because we could really talk about the mind a lot. But if we have a hard heart in the mind of Adam, then we're outside of the garden. If we have a fleshly heart, if our heart has been healed, Brother Greg, and we have the mind of Christ, then we're in the garden. Not only we're in the garden, but the garden's in us, because we are the garden. And actually, not only that, but we're in the tree of life, and then the tree of life is in us, and we are the tree of life. And we are the rivers of living water. We could go on and on. All these different ways that God used it that are pretty cool. Okay? Now, if our hearts understand, and we can hear, and we can see, then we just read about that. Then we're converted, and we're healed. And then we have what? We have peace, and we have joy, and we enjoy life. Okay? Now, and I'm combining these scriptures. I sat back there and read this like several times, reading different pieces, piecing this thing together. If we have ears to hear, and we have eyes to see, okay, then we can perceive. That word perceive is in here. Then our perception is truth. So the eyes to see, the ears to hear, our perception, what we perceive then, is truth. And we know truth does what? Sets us free, or makes us free. And then it goes full circle. Truth, I'm getting this for myself. Truth actually brings understanding. Okay? This is like a formula. But actually seeing and hearing brings understanding. And when we have understanding, thank you. Then we have, I just got this. We have perspective. We have perspective on life. Did that make sense? Yeah. We'll have perspective on our life. When all of this takes place, when truth is unraveled and opened up within us, when we see and hear and our heart understands and we're healed, then we'll have perspective on life. I told Cindy the other day, I said, you have done things at your age that I didn't do until later in life. For instance, going to New York, going to Washington, D.C. I did not do those things until later in life. Okay? So she's 18, Haley's 20. 10 and 20 and 30 and 40 years from now, they will have a different perspective of what their childhood was, of what those experiences were. But honestly, those experiences, we all know, will fade to only be a few memories, very likely, because they're going to live so much more life moving forward. But those experiences build us. If we look at our experiences in life as they were building blocks, and let's learn from them and let's grow, instead of let's be bitter and focus on the negative aspects of those experiences, then we can move on and we can live a better life. Yes, we have experienced things that have hurt. We've experienced pain. In many ways, those of us in this room tonight. Back to the faithful man. The faithful God. The one true God. Faithful to do what? Faithful to heal. We must never forget that. Faithful to heal. We have to remember that. We cannot walk out of here and let life pull us down. We have to wake up with expectation. And no storm lasts forever. You're going to get a new lease on life. I just 100% expect this thing to be successful. And you're both going to have a new lease on life and move forward. We have experienced things in life. I was thinking about this as I was closing the door to come out here from the office. we have experienced so many things in life that we never could see coming. I mean, some beautiful experiences in life. So what lies ahead of us? What lies ahead of us? A beautiful life. What are we going to encounter? So see, I did this one time before. We got those steps, right? Steps, right? We made it here. We can't take a step back down. We got to keep climbing. See, these steps, they're behind us. We don't have to deal with that stuff anymore. We don't have to have those life experiences anymore. That stuff's behind us. We're going to move forward. Take the land. What did he say? Take the land. What is the land? A promised land. Is it promised or is it a promise? Promised to me means one day I'll get it. Let's have the promised land today that we live in that promised land. We live in promised land. That's all I got.